What is happening, everybody? It is time for a little bit of a smaller live before lock. It is just a 3-game slate. The main slate was actually earlier, but still wanted to cover the night slate here. Eric's away. He's going to be away tonight and tomorrow, so Matt's going to be filling in to do shows with me, so I'm excited about that. I get to talk to somebody smart about baseball. That is, very exciting for me. But also, what I'm excited about is that football season starting next week, and the football data is going to be going live on Stokastic for week 1 tonight. So as a result of that, tomorrow morning, Lofty and I are going to be doing the first NFL strategy show of the year with the Stokastic data, looking ahead to NFL week 1. So tomorrow morning, it's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And then Josh is going to move over doing the MLB strategy shows in place of Lofty starting next week. So pretty excited for the start of football season. And then we're going to be doing, our normal suite of strategy shows next week. But so tomorrow morning, Lofty and I are going to be going through projections, ownership, some new features on the site, if those are going to be ready in time for tomorrow. But we do have some cool new stuff that I'm looking forward to showing you guys. If it isn't tomorrow, then it will certainly be over the course of next week. And then in addition, we're going to have a bunch of sales that are rolling out for week 1 for the season as well. One of them is already live on the site. If you guys sign up for our yearly NFL package ahead of NFL week 1, 10% off with the promo code BIRD. So if you are going to be playing NFL DFS using our sims and data over the course of the season, that is a really good way for you to save yourself some money, because you're going to be getting already a discount from buying the yearly package, which is discounted versus buying all the individual months and weeks. And then you also get an additional 10% off promo code BIRD, BIRD. People are excited that you're here, Matt. You'll see Tom Olson, close relative of Matt Olson, first baseman for the Atlanta Braves, says, wow, Matt Bellman on the show, massive upgrade. Yep. I could not agree more. So, Matt, everybody's excited to have you here. Hopefully they are equally excited for what is a kind of crappy MLB slate, for being honest here. It's why we just did the 30 minutes here for the 3-gamer. But I want to know, do you have any kind of general thoughts on this slate before we get into some of the individual pitchers and stacks?
Always, first off, appreciate the love in the chat. Always love doing shows with you. So I was happy when you asked me to come on here with you. As far as like general feelings about the slate, not really. Typical 3-gamer. I mean, offenses obviously look much better than the pitching. So I think certainly the slate is going to be one with stacks, no doubt about that. But you got to play 2 pitchers anyways. So yeah, should be a fun one, if nothing else to talk about.
Yeah, that is one way to describe the slate as far as DraftKings goes. You have to roster 2 pitchers. And now we're going to try to figure out who those 2 pitchers are that we like the most. So here's what the ownership is looking like for today. And you got 3 pitchers right around 50% owned, in Aaron Nola, Will Warren, and Clay Holmes. Then you got Davis Martin. This is how you know it's a shitty pitching slate. Davis Martin is 22% owned pitching against the Yankees. His strikeout prop is 3.5, and a fairly decent chance they end up scoring negative fantasy points. The team total for the Yankees in our projections, 5.6 projected runs for the Yankees, and still you got Davis Martin 22% owned against him. Adam Mazur is 11% projected owned. Then you got Cal Quantrill 15% owned. So that's what we're looking at as far as ownership goes for today. Matt, I want to know from you, we've got 2 pitchers in the 8K range. Aaron Nola is $8,700. Will Warren is $8,500. Nola 55% owned. Will Warren 47% owned. I've got a preference between these 2 pitchers. I'm curious if you do.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know if it's going to be the same preference, but my preference is Nola. I don't feel good about it. It's not a good matchup for him. It's frankly not a good matchup for Warren either, though. And Warren's been so bad on the road. Nola always been better at home. I'll trust Nola more here. Like, this is more of like a gut feel call than anything else, because they do look very similar in the tools, and Nola's getting more ownership. So I suspect you're going to say you like Warren more. I'm going to say I like Nola more because they are so close, and I just feel better about him pitching at home here, even in a tougher matchup. I mean, the White Sox have been good lately since they called up Montgomery and a couple of their other young guys, but it's still obviously a better spot for Warren. So I'm going to say Nola, expecting you to say Warren.
It is Warren for me. So Another thing too is I know Aaron Nola still carries some name value. His numbers are terrible for the year, like beyond terrible. He's having a really rough season. So he's 32 years old, and it's not just the numbers are terrible. His velocity is way down this year as well. I know that he's been injured a lot this year, so he's only made 11 starts. So how healthy is he? That could certainly be playing a role in what the velocity has been this year. But you got a guy now who is 32 years old. He's seen a big velocity decrease. It was 92.5 miles per hour last year. It's 91.5 miles per hour this year. 2 years ago, by the way, it was 93 miles per hour. And a few years before that was 93.5. So you're looking progressively, a guy who went from 93.5 miles per hour, his average fastball velocity, to 93 to 92.5, now all the way down to 91.5. And now that also comes accompanied with a 6.52 ERA, a 5.05 expected ERA, a 4.98 FIP. I don't feel great about Will Warren, but I feel like pretty bad about Aaron Nola and where he's at as a pitcher right now. And then also, even though the Braves have been disappointing, the White Sox are a far easier matchup than a matchup against the Braves. And Will Warren's numbers overall for the year, he's just been better than Aaron Nola everywhere. 4.47 ERA, 4.31 expected ERA. It's not like those are fantastic numbers. It's better than what we've seen out of Nola. Then also got a 25.5% strikeout rate for the season out of Will Warren compared to 24% from Aaron Nola. It would be one thing if Aaron Nola was less popular than Will Warren, but I mean, I just look at all of these boxes being checked. Will Warren is cheaper. He's lesser owned. He's an easier matchup. And I look at all the numbers and it's like Will Warren's having a better season as well. And then on top of it, he's the pitcher with more strikeout upside. So I'm more so on the side of Will Warren for those reasons.
That's fair. I get it. I will say their expected numbers are much more similar than you're leading on, in my opinion. Nola's 5.05 expected ERA, certainly worse than Warren's 4.3, whatever, but within the same ballpark. Nola's 24% strikeout percentage, and he's got the pedigree. Plus, whether you want to buy into it or not, it's a real thing that Warren has been much, much worse on the road. So for me, that is at least something I'm going to take into account. All in all, I think these guys are very even. And I also think ownership ends up about the same on both of them.
Mook from Woo in the chat said White Sox haven't been an easy matchup for a while. Well, I mean, listen, they've got an 86 WRC plus against right-hand pitching. The only two teams with the worst WRC plus against right-hand pitching this year are the Rockies and the Pirates. That's it. And the Braves, they have a 102 WRC plus against righties. So it's like right in the middle of the league. I don't know. I don't look at the White Sox as some sort of daunting matchup. If you look at the numbers overall for the year, this is almost as good. The only two teams that I think are better matchups for the entire season against righties are the Pirates and the Rockies. This is really not a great White Sox offense. Let's see if I just look at August.
I feel somewhere in between both you guys, because I think it does them an injustice to just talk about their year-long numbers, because again, they've called up guys that have performed a lot better than their lineup was performing at the beginning of the year. And that's real. I don't think it's a tough matchup. I also think it's a significantly worse matchup than the Rockies and Pirates. And they are in the ballpark of like the Marlins, that tier, in my opinion.
Yeah, so let's see. The White Sox WRC plus compared to those other teams just against righties. I mean, for what it's worth, the Pirates have an 85 WRC plus against righties for the season. The White Sox are an 86 WRC plus.
Right, but what about over the past 3 months?
Let me see if there's an easy way to pull 3 months on Fangraphs. Years. I'd have to set up something else. Just look at the last 3 months. But I mean, either way, I don't look at the White Sox as being like an especially difficult matchup or anything like that. It's not like I think the Braves are a terribly difficult matchup either. I just think the White Sox do have a worse offense than what the Braves
totally
have.
I don't think anyone can justifiably argue that. I just think it's a tougher matchup than a lot of people will think for Warren.
All right, let's go ahead and look at the 7K pitchers. I actually think this is kind of like the most fun way to look at the slate, is to go, there's 2 8K pitchers, there's 2 7K pitchers, there's 2 6K pitchers, and we can just figure out like, all right, who are the pitchers that we like the most in each price range. So if we look at the 7K range, you got Clay Holmes, you got Davis Martin. I know that, by the way, I don't really love either of these guys. And also in the pitching is so shitty for today. I said I prefer Will Warren to Aaron Nola. Doesn't mean Aaron Nola is unplayable or anything like that. Like I think that just considering you got 6 pitchers and they're mostly crappy, like you're going to get forced to get to some of Aaron Nola here. In this 7K range, though, Clay Holmes over Davis Martin. Davis Martin is so terrible. For him to be a guy who's 22% owned against the Yankees, that's a lot of ownership on any slate for Davis Martin.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, I don't like any of these pitchers, so I don't have much glowing to say about any of them. Yeah, certainly a really tough spot for Martin. Surprised he's picking up that much ownership. I do think the Yankees will end up being the highest owned stack on the board. So I think the leverage is good enough to play Martin. I'm worried about his ownership, where it's projected. But honestly, I don't think he's going to end up as highly owned as anywhere is projecting, especially in higher dollar stuff. So I'm going to kind of bank on that. And yeah, I mean, I don't like any of these options at all. That's the kind of the problem with this slate. Holmes is fine. I mean, I view Miami, like I said, like the White Sox, not a tough matchup by any means, but they're pesky. So if he doesn't have his A stuff, he can get got. Certainly a better spot for him than Martin. And that's why I'm surprised that Martin's projecting for so much ownership. I don't get it.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the other thing too, people might just look at the ERA and be like, he's got a 3.93 ERA. But he's got a 5.36 expected ERA, a 4.76 FIP. So it's what's gone on here. He's got a 273 BABIP, which do we think Davis Martin is some guy who profiles to be some like elite low contact, soft contact pitcher? No. And then he's also going up against the Yankees here. So I look at this as pretty crazy ownership on Davis Martin. I certainly prefer to stack the Yankees than play Davis Martin. And then you got Clay Holmes, who I'm also not crazy high on. Of all the 3 really popular pitchers, Matt, Nola, Will Warren, Clay Holmes, I do like Holmes the least of those 3.
Okay. I do too. But if you had told me you liked Holmes the most, I wouldn't argue with you either, just because the pitching on this slate is weak.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at what came through on the Sims without making any adjustments. Will Warren showed up in 61% of lineups. Nola showed up in 73% of lineups. And then we came in underweight to all of the other 4 pitchers that we have on the slate. So that's what the Sims are doing for today. On the low end, you got Adam Mazur and you got Cal Quantrill as options for tonight. 2 guys who have also not found very much success this year. Both have pretty tough matchups. Quantrill pitching against the Phillies, Mazur pitching against the Mets. They're very cheap at $6,500 and $6,000. We're not going to be prioritizing these pitchers, Matt. I don't think either of us are looking at these guys and be like, that's my favorite guy on the slate. Do you have one guy who you find to be more palatable than the other, though?
Yeah, there's no way I could play Cal Quantrill, so I guess Mazur. But that's the only thing I have to say positive about Mazur is that I won't play Cal Quantrill. And going back and look a minute ago to our Warren and Nola, quote unquote argument, even though that's not really what it was, for lack of a better term. I think you just play both of them. You don't have to, because it's not like they look good, but they do look better than everyone else. I'll say that, significantly better. Both of them do.
Yeah. So between the 2 of them, I'm also going to lead a little bit more towards Mazur. But with that said, for a lot of people, if you're playing 1, 2, 3 lineups, I would say don't roster either of these guys. It's more if you're building a big portfolio of lineups and you just needed to save salary somewhere, be a little bit of Mazur over Quantrill. But if you're playing just a couple of lineups, you could probably just build around you Nola, Warren, maybe a little bit of Clay Holmes, and you'll be pretty good to go. For FanDuel purposes, Matt, here's what we got to look at on the FanDuel side of things. Perhaps even a little bit more interesting when you only are rostering 1 pitcher. And then, DraftKings, the pitching options are so shitty on the low end between Martin, Mazur, and Quantrill. It's kind of easy to say, I can just build a 3-man pitcher pool around Nola, Will Warren, Clay Holmes. FanDuel, what's kind of interesting is that a lot of people are going to have to make the choice to only roster 1 pitcher. Will Warren is 19% owned. Clay Holmes is 25% owned. Aaron Nola is 34% owned. If you're building 1 lineup on FanDuel, who would be the pitcher you would go to?
I think it's Warren on FanDuel because I do think Nola comes in significantly higher around here. He's less expensive and he's projected to be way higher owned. So give me Warren here. It's close enough for me on DK that I'll just take Warren here at half the ownership. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about it too. I mean, if I liked Will Warren over on DraftKings for the reasons I liked him, I'm certainly going to like him over on FanDuel when he is 19% on compared to 34% on Aaron Nola.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah. So for me, that's how I'm looking at the FanDuel side of things. Anything else you want to add about pitchers today?
I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, I guess the only other glowing things I can say about Missouri and even Quantrill is like, I think there's real blow up concern with every pitcher on this slate. So like all of a sudden, let's say Nola and Warren get hit hard, which is not like unfathomable. Like they're only the two most popular pitchers because that's the slate we're given. Then maybe you need like Missouri's 8 points, like, or you don't need it, but it would be nice to have. So there are places on this slate for every pitcher.
Yeah. So let's look at stacks. Because if the pitchers are shitty, you know what that means, Matt? It means lots of opportunity for stacks because pretty much all of these teams, you could argue in one way or another, are in a good spot for tonight. I am curious to hear from you. If you're building one lineup in a single entry, who is the team you're stacking?
It's Philly. Cal Quantrill's that bad. He's like Jose Urania tier for me, where like as bad as most gas cans are, like Urania and Quantrill are the worst of the worst. Those guys are so bad that I want to pick on them almost no matter what slate they're on. Certainly a 3-gamer where, again, I think the Yankees get love. I mean, every team's going to get love. I think the Phillies are the best stack. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is Quantrill is so bad against righties. And I know you know this, but so bad against righties. And people just want to play lefties. Certainly Philly's best hitters are lefty, but I love the righties in this lineup. So ways to get different within Philly. It's Philly for me. How about you?
Yeah, it's going to be the Braves for me. I think they offer the most leverage on the slate in terms of Aaron Nola is the most popular pitcher in our ownership projections. We also have the Braves being the second most positively leveraged team in the top stacks tool. Braves coming in 15% owned with 13% projected ownership. But then also, you have to consider that some of the ownership on these other teams, like the Yankees, the Phillies, the Mets, it's pretty high. So it's a few different angles. There's 3 low-owned stacks, and there's 3 really popular stacks. The Braves, the Marlins, the White Sox are all really low-owned. The Mets, the Phillies, the Yankees are all really high-owned. And then when you consider also that we've got the Braves with the highest top stack odds of the 3 lowest-owned teams, and they also happen to be going up against the pitcher with the most ownership on the entire slate, like, I don't think the Braves are the team most likely to succeed on the slate, but I think they are the most likely team to overperform relative to their ownership. And then also in some of the small field stuff where Aaron Nola is going to probably be even more popular than the 55%. I like the leverage that you're getting on the Atlanta Braves today.
I get it. I prefer the Marlins as the stack that I would want to get to. That's like really cheap. Not really cheap, but like that's the leverage stack. But I get the Braves, especially with your Nola stance. I mean, Nola is going to be higher owned than Holmes, and the Braves have been red hot lately. So like on a lot of slates, like the Braves would be getting more love than Nola here. Just the context of the slate where Nola is getting so much ownership, it makes a lot of sense. Like if you had a slate like today, for instance, the main slate today, and you put this game on that slate at Nola's price, I think the Braves get more love than Nola.
Maybe. It's not what our ownership is showing, though.
No, I'm talking about if they were on the main slate today with like Crochet and all them.
Oh, I see.
Not on this night slate. Like, gotcha. So to that point, I think the Braves are a really good leverage stack because the only reason they're not getting love and Nola is because we just don't have any good pitchers on this slate and people think Nola is the best of the best.
Well, look at this. Tom Olson. This is, I don't know that I would call Cal Quantrill the best player in baseball, but hey, we all have our different opinions. I see Tom Olson saying the Braves are the best player in all of baseball. I really don't think Cal Quantrill's all that good, but we all have the right to our own opinion. Anybody could share their opinion. You could back it with math, science, gut feeling, whatever it may be. But yeah, Tom Olson shouting out that we've got the best player in baseball and Cal Quantrill on the mound today. So looking at some of the other stacks on the slate, who are the other teams you are prioritizing? So I like the leverage you're getting on the Braves. By the way, I think on the high end, certainly, I mean, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Mets are all going up against super shitty pitchers. So you could make cases for all of them. Who are the other teams that you find to be priorities?
The Marlins.
Okay.
Yeah, I like them a lot here. And I expect to be maybe them or the White Sox will be the lowest owned on the slate, in my opinion. As you said, there's 3 high-owned teams, 3 low-owned teams. They'll be one of the 3 lowest owned. I don't think Holmes is very good, and he's going to get ownership as well. It's similar to the Braves. Their lineup isn't as good on paper as the Braves, certainly, but I think there's a real good chance the Marlins end up being the lowest owned team on the slate.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at our ownership projections, we got the Marlins pulling 9% ownership. It's the only team that has an aggregate ownership sub 10%. So with that in mind, they're certainly going to be very low owned. I want to look at, so I've talked about the 3 low owned teams. I want to talk about my favorite of the high owned teams, which for me is going to be the Yankees. They lead the board in terms of the top stack odds in our top stacks tool. They also show up a good amount in the Sims as well, some of the individual hitters. But then on top of it also, they're 19% owned as compared to the Mets being 24% owned, the Phillies being 21% owned. So you are getting marginally lower ownership on the Yankees, and that is in injunction with them also having the highest top stack odds. So, and then also Davis Martin actually pulling over 20% ownership, whereas Quantrill and Majeur are not really all that popular. So the Yankees, to some extent, it's not like they're crazy low owned or anything like that, but you are getting like some leverage against Davis Martin because he's the 4th most popular pitcher on the slate. So with the field opting to go to Davis Martin over Cal Quantrill, Adam Majeur, I think it's another reason to also be stacking up the Yankees. Let's look at FanDuel stacks also really quickly. So I want to know from you, Matt, on the FanDuel side of things, is there anything that looks different to you from a stacking purpose than what it does on DraftKings? For reference, for the YouTube chat here, the Mets are 27% owned over on FanDuel. The Phillies are 22% owned. The Yankees are 19% owned. The Braves are 14% owned. The White Sox are 10% owned. And then the Marlins are 7.5% owned. On FanDuel, Matt, is there anything that you see as being drastically different in terms of stacks compared to DraftKings?
I wouldn't say different, but I do think the Yankees look better because the leverage looks real. And whenever you get ownership and stack percentages like this, the lowest owned one makes the most sense. So who knows if it ends up turning out that way where they are the lowest owned, but on paper right now they are. So I think it would be the Yankees for me.
Yeah, I like the Yankees over on DraftKings. I like them on FanDuel as well. I still like the Braves over on FanDuel, though it is a little bit different because while you got Nola being about a third of the field's lineups, I kind of think that's still going to be the case for like smaller field, single entry stuff. Whereas one of the reasons I really, really like the Braves over on DraftKings, especially for small field stuff, is because Nola could be like 70+% owned in some of those contests. So that's definitely something that stands out to me as being one differentiation point between FanDuel and DraftKings. Any other thoughts you have on stacks tonight, Matt? If not, we'll do our home run picks and we'll read off some of the Don picks from chat as well.
I don't think so. Every stack's in play, bad pitching. And yeah, in case it got lost in translation, what I was trying to say before was that I think the Braves are a good leverage stack. So that was all.
All right. Let's do it then, guys. Time for Matt and I to give out our home run picks for the night. And also, want to hear from you in chat. Who are you picking to go yard today? And then I'll be reading some of those off on the show after Matt and I give out our home run picks. So no pressure here, Matt, but I am on a little bit of a heater here. I have hit homers on not 1, but 2 days in a row. Yesterday, I got Yordan Alvarez. 2 days ago, I got Giancarlo Stanton. So we've got to come through. One of us has to pick a home run so we can get the hot streak going. I'm also happy that you're here instead of Eric because he doesn't help at all with this. What happens is Eric hits a home run once and then he talks about it for like 3 weeks. You know the deal. So I'm happy to have, some actual picking talent here. I want to know from you now. Who are you picking to go yard tonight?
I'm going to go a little off the board. I'm going to go with a guy on the Marlins stack I like, Jacob Marcy. Not going to be highly played in DFS. I think he takes Clay Holmes deep tonight.
Okay. All right. Do you remember there was that stretch when was it? Maybe like a month ago, where I feel like he hit like 6 homers in a week or something. I think he had a 3 homer.
When he first got called up.
Yeah, I guess that was right when he first got called up. So for me, I want to pick on Aaron Nola a little bit. So I am going with Ronald Acuna to go yard for today to extend my home run streak out to 3 slates. Ronald Acuna, that's the pick from me. Let's see what we've got from chat now. We've got, Jimmy DiVirgilio. He doesn't have his own home run pick here, Matt, but he has who he hopes you are picking to call a home run. So he was going with Teal as who he was hoping that you were going to pick. Pierre is going with Juan Soto. Io Kimbrough's got JT Realmuto. Devin Klein has got Trey Turner. Wow, Tom Olson's going with Cal Quantrill, the homer. That's an aggressive pick. Mr. Tex Dre has got Harrison Bader. Malukar's got 2 home run picks, Francisco Lindor and Cody Bellinger. Truffles is going with Cedric Mullins. Ken Ratty has got Ben Rice today. We've got Nicholas Barrett going Benny Biceps. Jake DeWitt has got Harrison Bader. Ryan Stubbs is also going with JT Realmuto. Barnaby O'Toole has got Brett Beatty. We've got Rob Live going with Giancarlo Stanton and Bryce Harper. We've got Ryan Stubbs adding in Ramirez as well. We've got Ramirez also from Matty Ice. We've got Brett Beatty from our old pal Emac. Long Win is saying that everybody's going to homer off of Nola today. Interesting. Swami's got Harrison Bader. We've got Luis Robert from Steven Leibowitz. Michael Harris from K. Wellity Soul. Mark Ventos from DeJax. Brooks Baldwin from Tizzle, Maine. We got Acosta from Darryl Smith. Francisco Lindor from Duckman. And then finally, John Prince picking Paul Goldschmidt to go yard today. Oh, one more. Sosa from Slim. He just added that in last second there. Oh, and he also had Albies in there. So 2 home run picks from him. Guys, that is going to do it for us. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not already. And tomorrow, like I said, Lofty and I, if you guys missed it at the top of the show, Lofty and I are going to be doing the first NFL show of the year with the Stokastic data tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Really looking forward to that. So hope to catch you guys there. Other than that, thank you all very much for watching. Tomorrow night, it's going to be Bellman and I again on Live Before Lock as Eric enjoys a couple of final days off. He's actually at Pebble Beach playing some golf. So if you guys are interested in Eric's personal activities, he'll tell you about it when he comes back, I'm sure. But guys, thank you for watching. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.